Civic education. Civic education is very important and vital. A good case, a good example would be you've gone to school and all through you've been told this is a chicken. You know this is a chicken. You have all the qualities of a chicken which you've been shown. And then someone tells you, no, that's not a chicken. That is a cow. But it has no trace of a cow. Now, if you choose to accept it's a cow, yet to know it's a chicken, that's a choice because you know the truth. And civic education mostly is just like being able to explain something further and make it sink into a language familiar. You cannot go to an older person and speak to them from a context of technology. It does not resonate to them. If there are people who have properties or land, you have to speak to a language familiar to them. If it's a rider, you'll have to speak to a language familiar to their occupation. Help them explain, if this and this happens, this is what will end up being the issue. Without proper accountability and proper policies, civic education becomes something that will not work. But if you are able to explain to someone what entails, what a law, what a bill, what a policy means, they'll be able to have a better understanding. One, you have to get to their level of understanding. Two, you have to respect the fact that they may not resonate with you to an extent, but you're open-minded for their criticism, whether you're comfortable with it or not. Because at the end of the day, your idea or your approach isn't to force the information to them, it's to relay the facts and to make it simple to understand. Then they have to make a decision based on what you provided. Then they can choose to do their further analysis. So you have to get to their level. You have to understand their level. And when you say these issues don't concern me, these are the facts at hand. When you go to hospital, the one who attends to the first person from the registration, they don't say, are you CEO? Are you a rider? Are you the grocery lady? Are you Mama Mboga? No. They call you by your name. Simple. They really don't care who you are. And when you are being told, go and give a stool test, they don't say, go remove a stool test of a CEO, of a Mamboga, no. You remove a stool test. Simple. It's non-negotiable. Either you do it or they don't do any test or go home or figure your life out. Those are the facts. You have to explain to someone so that they understand that those are the realities where they are. When you don't do that, mainstream do what they do best. When we talk about mainstream media, we're talking about the big local stations that there is. But you also need to understand that when you talk about these stations, you have the top tier, you have the directors, the investors, and then you have the journalists down there and the editors. The ones on the lower cadre may want or intend to give information, but remember they have to go up the higher ups. And if the higher ups don't like it, that information has to be suppressed because they have the licenses, they have the investors who buy into their company, who give them the rating scores, and so that they can get more push. And then the government who says, you talk, you lose your license. So we are left to the independent journalists. And the independent journalists, leave alone the profession, there's you and I. The information that we have coupled together. Then from independent journalists, you have to be very cautious because you have to be able to separate those who do it from a biased point of view. Because it's supposed to be an open-minded approach, not a biased approach. So it's supposed to be, information is supposed to be, you've given me information, I do my validation, I feel comfortable to be able to critique what needs to be critiqued. then we can say, yes, we're on the right path or on the wrong path. But that's a decision that you have to make. Never force information to anyone. We have the generation, we have the Generation X, we have now the Generation X, our parents and grandparents, we have the Millennials, Generation Y, and then we have the Generation Z, and from 97 and 1997, and then now we have now the Generation Alpha. The three generations, the Generation Alpha, Generation Z, and the Millennials, the Generation Y, are those who are vast with information at their fingertips. They can get it in real time. They're in all different social media platforms. They understand the value of information. They understand the value. So be able to get into a level that from the Generation X, what do they rely on? They rely on mainstream media. They rely on the radio stations. And what do systems do? Propaganda. And some of these stations will give into the mother tongue, right? But most of this time is more or less propaganda. It's up to you as a person to decide to be able to teach one or two, three, and tell them this is what happens. For example, if it's an older person, you tell them, you see this ancestral land. One day you wake up, it's gone. All those places gone. You see that cow you have, ABCD. So the more you get familiar to their level, the more they understand without forcing it to them. Being able to respect their place and being open-minded to be critiqued. Because this is from the Generation X, are from the generation where they were always critiqued. They always told, jump. They were never asked, why do I jump? And the system was played over and over and over again. So it's you trying to deconstruct what was built inside their system. And you can only do that, one, with the level of respect, two, get into their level, and three, speak to a language familiar to them. I'm not talking about just the mother tongue or anything. What is familiar to them? What do they do on a daily basis? Speak the language. So if it's a law or a policy or a bill that has been passed or could be passed and has an effect, you use what they do on a daily basis, what is familiar to them. That's how you help them. And you have to let them make their own decision. Because these are the other issues you come to learn. We have two types of activists. Back then, we used to have the non-paid activists, people who stood up for something they believed in. And then you have the paid activists. With the paid activists, it's all about agendas. You don't know who pays them. You don't know. They will come. They will say, we stand with you. We fight for you. They will tweet to clips and everything, but they never be with you on the ground. And you have the unpaid who are on the ground. They feel the heat. They feel the pinch. Also, to bring it closer to home, we always have two types of people within any revolution or any protest. Just like in high school or campus, we have two types. We have the ones who say, I didn't protest, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, so this is not my problem. Those ones are the ones who are standing against a system ABCD. But they forget one thing. Once you shake a beehive, the bees come out. If you don't have a protective gear, they'll bite. They won't give a crap if you are the one with the protective gear or not. They'll attack. And the one with the protective gear, they'll be like, oh, okay, fine. So they'll go down without the protective gear. And the protective gear is when you have information, you have understanding, you have unity in what you believe in. The only unprotective gear is the one who's saying, it's not me, it's that one, it's those ones. Me, that's not the way I was told. But at the end of the day, the bee doesn't care. That's why even when you go to most, if you remember, if you've been involved or found yourselves in protests, like high school protests, and you'll realize the ones who leave the institution are safer than the ones who are left, because the ones who are left within, when people are out, are the ones who are beaten thoroughly, and then they are claimed and alleged to be the ones who paid the ones who went out. So it really doesn't matter where your stand is in all this. You can say it doesn't matter, it's not your problem, it's not your child, it's not yada, yada, yada. The parents who have buried their kids, they didn't even know it reached the point that it has reached. Civic education is quite simple. It's about holding people accountable to their words and to their action. A politician is not your employer. They are an employee. There should be on your terms and conditions. Every law, every grant, every deal, every loan, everything they do, they should be able to account for it. It should not be that during every election cycle is when you meet again. From the moment they are elected and placed in power till the day of the next cycle, they should be able to account. It should not be that the next time you meet is in a harambe or any other fundraising where they use your money and channel it through their ways and say, this 100,000 is to build that church, to build that. But there's that school right there that has never seen anything. But that's a choice you have to make. You have to refuse to be biased, refuse to be tribal, and wake up and smell the coffee. Because there's nothing painful as being a stranger. Even if you're told to go to work in another country, live in another country, to never be like your country. If you're told to go to another home or another place and speak another language, to never be like your language. So civic education is vital. Help me, help you, help another. And you don't need to know each other as, tribe or race or all that crap. Help me, help you. Because when you're going to that supermarket, when the cashier is running, when you're paying, they don't say, see you, or so and so. You either pay 200 shillings, whatever that 200 package was, or drop it and go where you came from. Civic education, don't take it lightly. It's very vital. Hold everyone accountable to their words, action, and position. But that's a choice you have to make. Don't be biased. Don't be tribal. Don't be emotional. Let's be logical. Think outside the box. Because remember, paid activists rely on your emotion. Normal activists rely on your logic. See beyond everything. Help one, help another. That's a choice you have to make. So civic education must be the way, or else we lose everyone with propaganda. God help us all.